Leon flipped over and knelt on the bed. He pinned Roswitha down and pressed her under him. Roswitha did not feel disgusted by Leon's actions. Instead, she relaxed completely and lay quietly beneath him. She lightly flicked her tail, touching his back, as if urging him to do what they both desired. "Leon?" Roswitha whispered his name. She looked at him with affectionate eyes and gave him a shy smile. She gently twisted her waist, trying to ease the excitement bubbling within her. Her twin peaks trembled slightly with her movements. In that moment, driven by desire, Roswitha looked absolutely captivating. Like a cake that makes one's mouth water. She was clearly looking forward to Leon tasting her. Leon softly responded to Roswitha. He lowered his head and looked at her lying under him, his eyes gradually becoming hazy. He found her even more tempting than usual. His face flushed red, and even his body temperature began to rise. His desires were starting to drive him mad, wanting to go further with her. Leon slowly leaned in. Their noses brushed lightly, and their eyes saw only each other's reflections. Their breathing quickened, and warm breaths gently caressed each other's faces. Their bodies were tightly pressed together, sharing warmth. Just then, Leon noticed something odd. Although we all knew what was about to happen next, it was strange. Dragon Mark hadn't reacted at all. In truth, there was something he didn't know. The Dragon Mark is a magical charm that activates only when two people share a pure appreciation and deep desire for one another. If that pure connection is present, the mark won't react at all. Driven by the intimate atmosphere, their lips slowly approached, about to touch. Completely absorbed in this tender moment, Leon didn't notice his left hand pressing against the bed behind Roswitha. Perhaps he triggered a mechanism, because suddenly, a black toy spider dropped from the ceiling and landed in front of them. Just as Leon and Roswitha were lost in the romantic mood, the spider's sudden appearance made them both turn toward it. Roswitha stared at the spider in disbelief. The moment she realized it was the type she feared the most, her eyes widened. "Ah!" Roswitha let out a loud scream, this time louder than the first. The sound echoed throughout the entire Red Dragon Castle. Leon feared she might unleash her dragon flames out of panic, so he sprang into action. He quickly snatched the toy spider and tried to calm her. "Don't panic, I caught it. Don't use your dragon flames." Isa, outside the castle, seemed to hear the scream, but she wasn't surprised. She smiled faintly, lowered her head, and looked at the red wine in her hand. Then she drank it in one gulp. Already imagining what had happened, she closed her eyes and whispered with a cheerful tone, "They must have found the surprise I prepared." After throwing the spider out the window, Leon gently comforted the terrified Roswitha. He hugged her in bed, one hand on her waist and the other gently stroking her head, whispering softly, "It's okay now. Don't worry." Roswitha curled up in his arms, still trembling slightly. Her eyes were tightly shut, one hand placed over his chest to soothe her inner fear. To reassure her, Leon checked the entire room and the bed. He told her, "I carefully checked everything. There are no other traps or mechanisms." Meanwhile, the two discarded toy spiders now lay abandoned on a lawn outside, one atop the other. As if whispering sweet nothings, doing indescribable things in their little plastic world. Perhaps it was Leon's words, or maybe the warmth of his embrace, but Roswitha slowly began to calm. Her breathing eased and the trembling stopped. Seeing her relax, Leon breathed a sigh of relief and tightened his arms around her slightly. He placed one hand on the back of her head and rested his chin there. He hoped the gesture would make her feel safe. Closing his eyes, a relaxed expression crossed his face as sleep began to overtake him. At that moment, Roswitha noticed something. With her head resting on Leon's chest, she could clearly hear his heartbeat. It was fast, too fast to ignore. She lifted her head slightly and looked at him. "Your heart? It's beating so fast." Just as Leon was about to drift off, her words jolted him. His face turned even redder than before. He didn't dare look her in the eyes. The usually arrogant Silver Dragon Queen was now lying quietly in his arms, stirring emotions he didn't want her to see. He awkwardly opened one eye and mumbled a small lie to hide the truth. I'm also afraid of spiders." Roswitha let out a soft sigh. She didn't want to think too hard about whether that was true. As the queen of the dragon clan, everything that happened tonight, felt particularly embarrassing. She closed her eyes again and grabbed onto his shirt, preparing to sleep. She whispered, "I won't do this kind of thing with you again. Don't ever mention what happened tonight." To preserve her dignity as the Silver Dragon Queen, Roswitha stressed that he must never bring up tonight's events again. Though she said it with a displeased expression, her body involuntarily moved closer to him. Leon closed his eyes and nodded. Drowsiness overtook him like a rising tide, making his head dizzy. In a low voice, he replied, okay, I know." Morning gradually arrived. The sun rose into the sky, casting a bright blue hue that made people feel at peace. The warm sunlight peeked through the window, warming the room, calling the castle's inhabitants to rise. Roswitha felt the sunlight on her skin and suddenly opened her eyes. She had slept deeply, deeper than usual, and had no memory of when she actually drifted off. "When did I fall asleep?" she wondered in confusion. She suddenly sat up in bed. All she remembered was Leon holding her, and then darkness, as drowsiness overwhelmed her. The room seemed empty. There was no sound. She turned her head and found Leon gone. She looked around and confirmed it. He was no longer in the room. Silently, she thought to herself, "That guy got up early, huh? Well, maybe that's for the best." She lifted the blanket and got out of bed, ready to change out of her pajamas and into her everyday clothes.